Hello, in this video I'm going to show you the steps you're going to use to create a Google spreadsheet for your gauntlets or labs. It's going to help you analyze different scenarios very quickly and easily and then give you tolerance levels for the result. So once you've logged into Google Drive, you'll see a screen that looks like this. I'm going to say create spreadsheet. It's going to create a blank spreadsheet for me. Let me pull it up here. And the first thing I'm going to do, just so you can see a little bit easier and for me to see, I'm going to make this font. So I'm clicking here in this upper left hand corner, the intersection of rows and columns. It's going to highlight every single cell. It's like a select all. I'm going to say 18 point font, so I'll make it bigger font. So as you can see here, the spreadsheet's organized into rows and columns. I'm going to cell B2 here and type gauntlet 1 average velocity. Okay. And as you can see, it's a little wide for this one column, so I'm going to click and drag this guy over here like that to make it a little bit wider, and I can continue to drag so that it fits. Put my name. I'm going to put your name there in the second cell, and the date. And today is September. And the format of the data is like this. I'm going to change the format to format number. More formats, and I'm going to choose this one right here. I like this format, so it's nice and neat, and we'll make it left justified. So all the tools you're going to use for this spreadsheet are the same ones you'd use in Word. Now, the Google spreadsheet consists of 4 parts. The first part are the input values. So for this first lab, the first gauntlet, the input value is the things like the mass of the cart, the acceleration rate that I'm going to give you, and I'm going to put in some hypothetical numbers here, 1 and 3. Over here we're going to say kg for kilograms, and over here meters per second squared for the units of the acceleration. And I'm going to merge these cells just to give me a little bit of organization here. I'm going to click and make these one cell and give it a little yellow highlight so I can, that's the font. Give it the background color of yellow. Okay. So in this particular gauntlet, I'm going to give you the mass of the cart and the acceleration rate you need to obtain. The second part, I'm just going to cut and paste this over here so I keep the formats, or the calculations, which is your model. And so for this simple example, I'm just going to say that the angle that you need to, in degrees, always put the units here. The angle for this particular video example, I'm just going to say it's 2 times the acceleration rate, which it's not, but I'm going to say it's that. So my model is 2 times a. So I'm going to say equals, that's how you start an equation or formula, 2 times, that's an asterisk for multiplication, the acceleration rate, and I'll say plus this one, plus 1 for the mass. So I'll integrate mass in there as well. So 2 times the acceleration rate plus the mass. Again, this is not the actual model, I'm just making it up, but you can see the concept here. And the nice thing about this is that I can change numbers here. I can make this 1, and you can see the angle changes. I can change this mass to 2, and you can see that change. So as you're going through the gauntlet and creating different scenarios, you can very easily change your values, and you'll see the output change. The third step, I'll go down here, is your output value. So the output value that you're going to get from this is the angle in degrees. In this case, it's very simple. It's simply the angle of 6, or whatever this box is. So I'm going to say equals, and I'm going to click right here on that, and it says 6. Now this is kind of repetitive because there's only one thing. However, in more involved gauntlets, you're going to have 3 or 4 or 5 calculations, and of those 3 or 4 or 5 calculations, you'll have a final answer. So the final answer will go here. So in this case, it's a little repetitive, but and then finally, the fourth thing you're going to have is tolerance. So usually there's a plus or minus 5% window that you need to get into for error. So I'm going to say here, and then notice here I'm going to put a single quote. I put a single quote right here, plus 5%. The reason why I put the little single quote there is because when Excel sees a plus sign, it thinks you want to do a mathematical operation. The single quote forces it just to be text. So I'll do single quote minus 5%. Okay, so that's all the single quote does. So for these gauntlets, this one in particular, you have plus or minus 5%. So I'm going to say the plus 5 is going to be equal to this value, the C15, because it's in C15, plus C15 times 0.05. So that's my original 6 plus 5% of 6, so 6.3. And this is going to equal this minus C15 times 0.05, which is 5.7 degrees. Okay, so the reason why this is nice because I can change my acceleration rate. Let's see, I might get this to be 5.43, right? So my angle changes, my final answer changes, and you can see my window change. So I can very easily see the. And now this is very helpful because as you're testing scenario after scenario after scenario after scenario, you no longer have to go to your calculator and recalculate all of these things every single time. You create one model on the spreadsheet, and if your model is good, you can test it over and over. And if your model is not good, let's say this equation here you typed in, which is, I'll zoom in here, you can see it. This model is not good, you can change your model and then retest it. So it allows for multiple tests so you can see if your model is working. So that's an example of your Gauntlet Google Spreadsheet model. One last thing, you might want to make sure you give it a title. So we'll say Gauntlet 1, say there, click OK. And it should be named right there. And when you go back to Google Drive, there it is. So those are the steps you're going to use to create a Gauntlet Google Spreadsheet.